Hey everybody, I'm Andrew and welcome to Digital Nomad Journey, where we support digital nomads and remote workers seeking the laptop lifestyle and being location independent. Welcome. I'm just going to do a quick audio test here to make sure that we're actually live because I just had a bit of a glitch just now. So let's see if this is actually going to work. All right, testing the audio to see if this is actually going to work. There we go. Sometimes technology goes in our favor and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to try that again. It totally was glitching out on me there. So my name is Andrew and this is Digital Nomad Journey, where we support digital nomads and remote workers seeking the laptop lifestyle for location independence. Welcome. These live stream / Q&A sessions are something new that I'm trying to see if I can bring value. And my intention here is to go live 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. London, UK time, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 8 a.m. Pacific. So if you are seeking out a digital nomad or location independent lifestyle, and you are around YouTube at those times, then you might find this helpful, since I'm making myself available to answer your questions live. So, and if it's okay for the normal format, what I'm planning on doing is starting things off with some education, some awareness, share some resources, and then we'll lead into the questions from there. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? I'd love to start things off with just reassuring you that patience can go a long way. It can be very beneficial for you during these strange times. If you are currently a location-based person and you are, maybe you've been thinking for years on about and considering your options as far as becoming a digital nomad or working from home. And right now is the perfect time to develop a new skill set that allows you to do that. Right now, you're going to have an incredible opportunity that you didn't have before the pandemic. You didn't have before early 2020, when the world became a very different place, and we are all adjusting to a brand new normal. So it is okay to be patient. It's okay to give yourself that time to adjust and to grow and develop a new skill set. If you can only improve 1% a day, that will end up being a huge improvement for you a week, month, year down the road. Your future self will thank you. So again, it's far more likely for you to be able to locate a remote work or be a digital nomad now than it has ever been before, since firms and companies and businesses have been forced into this remote work from home model. So whereas before maybe working from home was a luxury, now it is a necessity. So make sure that you don't paint yourself into a corner and just brush it off that you could never do it, because I assure you, you can. I have a very different professional background. I was a firefighter once upon a time. I was a Coast Guard rescue diver. I was a trained conductor. And clearly, I was for years and years and years, I had varying careers that were very much so location-based. And ever since late 2018, I'm fortunate and grateful enough to call myself a digital nomad and to be location independent, which gave me an incredible amount of flexibility and security when the pandemic hit and various risk factors kicked in, and it essentially allowed me to weather the storm a lot easier than if I was still location dependent. So for this video, I actually had a bit of a laugh when I was naming the video, because yeah, regular life or normal life, whatever you want to call it, versus digital nomad. I think it's an interesting concept to perhaps think about where the world is going. And I oftentimes, daydream about what the world is going to look like 5 or 10 years from now. And I often wonder when being a digital nomad or a remote worker will actually go mainstream to the point where that will be considered normal. And anyone who is still working in a location-based fashion, they'll be the weirdos. They'll be the the strangers out there that aren't with it anymore, right? So right now, being a digital nomad or remote worker might still make you a little outside of the norm. Maybe not so much recently in recent weeks, but it has been a growing trend for a long time, even well before the pandemic hit. Okay, so let's get things going here. So first, how is being a digital nomad the same as quote normal life? Well, there pretty much anyone can choose one of four methods that I know of, anyways. You can be an employee, you can be a freelancer, you can be an entrepreneur running your own business, or you can be an investor. Clearly, you could fall into one of those four categories and be a digital nomad, be a location independent person, global citizen bouncing all over the globe, or you can follow more of a traditional model and be have a home and be locationed, not explore the world in a nomadic fashion, like a lot of people would characterize digital nomads as, right? So those four buckets, you probably fall into one of those four buckets, and you could follow either model. How about fear? Fear is something that we all face, and I've always been a big fan of the saying that everything you've ever wanted is just on the other side of fear. I've always been a big fan of that because there are so many times in my life, and I'm sure yours as well, where you can think back to a time where you were scared out of your mind to talk to someone, to apply for a job, to give a presentation. It could be anything. And thinking back now, you're scared about what could have happened had you not had the confidence or the guts to take that action and performed when you could have just sat on the sidelines and done nothing, right? So that's something that I like to think about as well. How about basic things like access to the internet or access to tools and resources? Depending on your line of work, you might need a webcam for YouTube videos, or a microphone, or specialized software to write code. So you might need access to various tools and resources, no matter what lifestyle choice you find yourself in, being a digital nomad or location dependent, right? How about time and priority management? It's going to be the same thing. Everyone's going to have that constant struggle with time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, but some of us are able to manage time management better than others, because some people are able to achieve a lot by leveraging employees or outsourcing tasks and responsibilities to VAs, virtual assistants, or softwares or automation. And other people feel like they're on that hamster wheel. Other people just feel like they can't get out of the rat race because they're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. And some people find time management, priority management easier than others. And again, doesn't matter if you're a digital nomad or a location-based person, you are going to have to struggle with those same obstacles and challenges like anybody else. And how about health, fitness, or even sleep concerns? Just our general well-being. Health is number one. You don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. You don't want to ignore your health, because otherwise that will come back and bite you. There's that very profound saying out there that says that a healthy person has 1,000 wishes, but a sick person has one. And I think about that often, especially in this day and age when you have these constant daily reminders on the news of people falling ill and people needing 24/7 care, elderly having to transition into care facilities and homes to be taken care of. Health is number one. If you don't have your health, what do you have? So here's just a really quick list of things that I wanted to review to highlight certain things that actually point out that being a digital nomad isn't really that different than, quote, normal life. So, and if you are new to this channel, I would quickly like to ask for you to smash that like button to support the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I am committed and dedicated to creating even more valuable content for you moving forward. I just interviewed an expert yesterday, and I'm looking forward to getting that on the YouTube channel shortly. I'm obsessed with getting access and getting more traction and optimizing my lifestyle with the very best tools, resources, tips, strategies, methods, you name it. I'm going to take a quick water break here. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions and you're here live, make sure to drop that in the chat. And if you're watching the recording, make sure you drop those questions in the comments section. And if I don't have the answer, I promise you I will do everything in my power to get you the answer because of all the reasons that I just listed. I am obsessed with this stuff, and I'd like to optimize my personal and professional life as a digital nomad and remote professional even further. Okay, so how are they different? How is it different from being a digital nomad and quote regular life / normal life? So I think I'm going to start things off here with quickly saying that traditional education typically won't cut it. I'm not saying that it will hurt, certainly won't hurt you, but if you think that the traditional education model will provide everything you need to be a digital nomad, that is likely not the case. And I'm generalizing when I make that statement. However, I think what you'll find is online courses these days will be far more beneficial to you than the traditional education model, meaning going and getting a degree, a master's in what have you. The reason why I say that is, and I feel sorry for the education model, the traditional education model, excuse me, because the education system has a hard time adapting and evolving to our quickly changing environment. The traditional education model is an old institution, and things are changing so rapidly right now. I mean, my last full-time position with a firm was a social media manager. And it wasn't that long ago, social media manager was not a job. This was not something that people could train for or go to school for. And now companies and businesses worldwide are struggling to find good social media managers. I mean, just like any other industry, there's going to be good people at it and not so good people at it, right? And the traditional education model is going to struggle keeping up with the changing times because 10 years ago, social media manager didn't exist. You can only imagine 10 years from now what kind of careers will be soughtly in demand when you can't train someone for something that doesn't exist yet. And that's the scary truth that we're all in. A lot of students, a lot of people are going into massive amounts of debt, records amount of debt, getting these education diplomas and masters, and then they graduate and they realize they're overqualified or not qualified enough for the positions that are available and needing to be filled. So as soon as they graduate, it's time to go back to school and learn a new skill. So it's kind of an unfortunate model right now. And I can speak from experience and say I've gained an amazing amount of experience and education from simple online courses. It might be $100, it might be $3,000, and I've been able to bring value to the marketplace, to employers and to my clients, because I invest in myself and I took these online courses that are readily accessible. Some of them are free. Some of them are free. People are learning how to code right now by watching free videos on YouTube. So I would caution anyone that's trying to over-rely on their traditional education. Don't forget that your self-education, your self-development is a never-ending journey, and it's important to always try to become a better version of yourself. So how about getting paid? Getting paid as a digital nomad is obviously quite different, since being in the normal life, you might have to pick up a check a couple times a month, or there might be an automatic deposit, wire transfer right into your account. When you're international, it can get a little bit more complex, but in 2020, it's not that bad. If I'm being honest, you could use services like PayPal, Stripe. I recommend TransferWise. I've been using TransferWise for quite some time now, and I haven't come across anyone that has spoken in a negative way about TransferWise. I've had positive experiences with that platform, and I know others have as well. I'm Canadian, so I don't have access to their debit card. I believe they have a debit card feature available as well, but I think it's only available to Americans. Don't quote me on that, and to the American banking system. But TransferWise allows you to hold multiple currencies, and it gives you some options on how to receive your income. And then moving forward, it's not the craziest thing to assume that these processes and systems are actually going to get easier with the advent of cryptocurrencies and virtual currencies. It's not hard to imagine that thing when it comes to receiving compensation for the value you bring an employer or a client, it's actually just going to get easier and easier. So positioning yourself as a remote worker now is going to set yourself up for success in the coming weeks, months, and years, because this is the direction the world is going. Whether we all like it or not, this is where we're all going. Okay, what else is different between the two? How about living expenses? So when you're a digital nomad, when you're a remote worker, you aren't subject to the same forces and risks of normal life. You have the ability to travel to a cheaper state, a cheaper province, a cheaper country, either permanently or temporarily. And you could travel the world for an entire year and experience different cultures, different geographic regions, different climates. And you might find yourself settling in a geographic region that has extremely low living expenses, low rents, low power bills, low food. And so now your income, your dollar, your pound, your euro, whatever you earn will be stretched that much further, because everything is relative at the end of the day. If a loaf of bread is $10 in one area and $1 in another area, it's not hard to imagine that you'll be able to live a more comfortable lifestyle. So a digital nomad clearly has the advantage when it comes to living expenses. And that's not to say you can't be a digital nomad in expensive cities like Vancouver or New York or London or Sydney. You certainly can, and that's the beautiful part about being a digital nomad or remote worker. You can literally carve out a unique lifestyle that's unique to you because it works for you. That's why oftentimes I caution on advising people when people are messaging me on social media or emailing me asking about this, asking about that, because a lot of these answers are highly dependent on your unique set of circumstances and variables. What works for me doesn't necessarily going to work for you, but it's nice considering all your options. It's nice pulling insight and advice from different sources so that you can craft your own path. That's what I did, and that's what I recommend for anyone watching this video. So how about relationships, family, friends? So relationships, obviously, it would be difficult to maintain a romantic partnership with someone who didn't also enjoy the digital nomadic lifestyle with you. In this day and age, it's obviously a very popular lifestyle amongst millennials and others. I don't want to just zero this in on millennials. You could be any age and be a remote professional, expat, digital nomad, what have you. And obviously, it would be a lot easier on any relationship you are in if both of you aspire to the same kind of lifestyle. Now, staying in touch with family and friends, that's just getting easier and easier as well, thanks to apps like Zoom and Skype and Facebook and FaceTime and all of these different things. As long as you're making the effort to stay in touch digitally in a virtual way, then you'll be able to maintain those relationships. And you might find that if you found a beautiful part of the world to situate yourself in, you might find that it won't be that hard to convince your family members and your friends to come visit you, because they're probably aching for a vacation and they'd love the excuse to come catch up with you. Maybe in this right now in June 2020, that is not as much of an option, since traveling is severely impacted, negatively impacted by COVID-19. However, we all have the understanding, and I personally believe that the travel industry will come back in due time. So then you'll have that option to have your loved ones come visit you. But then the vice versa, the other direction is true as well. You can still go travel and spend time, do some couch surfing maybe, and spend some time with your friends and family as you work as a digital nomad, if they don't mind putting you up for a little bit of time, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind. So these are all things to take into consideration, that being a digital nomad, you are far more flexible and have a lot more freedom of choice than someone living the, quote, normal life. Okay, moving on here. How about materialism versus minimalism? Probably this is a little more of the obvious side of things, but being a digital nomad, if you want to be live that nomadic lifestyle, it's going to be a lot easier for you if you have as little as possible. I pride myself on keeping a very small footprint when it comes to my belongings. I keep all of my I keep my whole office in a rucksack and a backpack that serves me very well. And then all of my personal belongings fit in the size of a large luggage piece that would fit in the undercarriage of an airplane. And so those two bags, my entire life fits in those two bags, and the rest is in storage lockers or with family. And so if you have a need to have more material possessions than that, then perhaps the digital nomadic lifestyle wouldn't be for you. Or you could always put everything into storage like I did, and then give yourself a year and see how you adjust. What I've learned is that it's amazingly, it's surprising how much joy stuff brings you. It's smaller than you might think. It's actually I realized that stuff doesn't really bring me joy. It's experiences, it's life experiences that bring me joy. And as soon as I came to that conclusion, it was actually quite easy to unburden myself by getting rid of as much stuff as possible. I got rid of my car, sold my car, gave things away, donated stuff, and never looked back. Okay, how about quality of life? Quality of life is an important one because you only have one life to live, and why would you want to waste that for a minute longer than you have to by doing a job that you hate, or living somewhere where you hate, or working for a boss you hate? Maybe those are strong words, but I think we've all been there. And it's important to have that freedom of choice to say, to have influence and control certain aspects of your quality of life. And living that digital nomadic lifestyle is the clear winner here too, because if a specific geographic region no longer is favorable to you, it's no longer safe. Maybe there's riots and looting happening nearby, violence happening nearby. You'll want to pick up your stuff, grab your loved ones, and get to safety. So it's unfortunate that we have to talk about these things these days, but I pride myself on the ability to focus on factors that I can influence, factors that I can control, and I will share that message with as many people as I can, because otherwise you end up complaining about the weather, and the weather's not going to change just because you're complaining about it. I'll complain about the weather just like anybody else, but I'll grab my umbrella and I'll move on. And anyone who knows me knows how much I hate the rain. That's how it goes sometimes. So now is the time to prepare. Depending on where you are, and what part of the world you are in right now, chances are you probably still are in lockdown. You're still in quarantine. And measures around the world are starting to relax. Regulations are starting to relax somewhat. But we've been told by various officials and governments worldwide that the risk is still there for a second spike, another spike. Recently, we've witnessed looting and riots and protests, which even if these protests were held with the best intentions, unfortunately did present an opportunity for this virus to come back with a vengeance. So we will unfortunately have to bear witness what kind of results that will bring. But this is our current reality. I truly encourage anyone watching this live or watching the recording to sit down and do a self-audit of what your skills are, how you bring value to the world, and if there are any gaps, or if there are any skills that are heavily dependent on you being in a specific location. Maybe spend that 1 hour a day learning a new skill, developing a new skill for you to bring value in a virtual way. Ultimately, this will raise your chances of success moving forward, since this is the direction we're all going, and it will reduce your risk and create a safer environment for you and your loved ones. So I encourage everyone to really do that self-audit and check in with yourself, do that gut check, and really determine what lights you up, what makes you passionate, and figuring out how you can leverage that in a digital or virtual way so that you can reap all the benefits of being a digital nomad and a remote worker. Speaking from personal experience doing this for the last 2 years, I wish I had done it earlier. And I'd have that much more value to share with you right now, that many more experiences to share with you right now. So The Chinese proverb that I love to remind myself often is the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. It's right now. So make sure you download my book, The Digital Nomad Lifestyle Guide. The link is in the chat and in the description below. The book is free. It's 100% free. It was a lot of work putting the book together, but I truly enjoyed it. I felt compelled to do something to give back. I felt compelled to do something that will help people who are struggling today. And so I decided to write my very first book and make it totally free so that you can have access to this important information. You want to compress decades into days and learn from someone else's mistakes, learn from someone else's experience. And you can do that with this book. So click that link and get the book and start reading it right away. So if you are here live, please drop any questions you might have in the chat. But I'm more than happy to make sure that I'm here weekly, hopefully 3 times a week, depending on how things go. This is still, excuse me, this is still something new that I'm testing out, something new that I'm experimenting with my very new YouTube channel. And I'm happy to make my book free and make myself available to you for questions. And on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And if it turns out there's a better time, we could always experiment with other times as well. But you will easily find me on any social media platform at Digital Nomad Journey, and you can get the book at the link, like I said. So make sure if you are watching the recording to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Leave your questions in the comment section below, and I'll make sure that I can get the answers to you either because of some information that I could provide, or because I am constantly networking with various professionals who have crafted ideal lifestyles while living a digital nomadic and remote living situation. So my name is Andrew. This is Digital Nomad Journey. And if you're watching the recorded version of this, you might want to check out these YouTube videos right here, because YouTube seems to think that you'll enjoy them as well. Other than that, own the day and make it yours. Take care.